The words, cult of the word, this isn't your story. It never was your story. The story is a monster. The story will eat you alive. The darkness is coming. The darkness inside. This is my story. You're in my story. Get out of my story. You are a character in my story. You can't stop the story. This story will go on forever. There's no escape. You will never escape. You will drown here. You're stuck in a loop. You don't have a clue. You're lost. You lost the plot. I'll show you.
That was an excerpt from The Writer's Journey, a series of audio clips that can be found in the 2023 survival horror game Alan Wake 2, made by Remedy Entertainment. In this podcast, I will try to explain the themes and ideas in just part of the Alan Wake 2 video game, specifically about the titular character's arc in the game and what it says about the creative process.
I'm a writer. I write. Writing is the key. Art is the key to find my way out of the dark place. I can't forget this. Don't you fucking forget this. I'm in the dark place. I'm outside time and space. Outside reality.
Wake's sections of the game take place in what is referred to as the dark place, which I believe to represent Alan's mind during the creative process. It is a constantly shifting labyrinth full of his own fears, his inspirations, those around him, and ideas from his past works. Alan himself is specifically depicted as being trapped in a writer's room inside of the dark place, and he must project himself into the rest of the dark place by sitting down and typing a manuscript on a typewriter. This can be viewed as a personal hell for Wake, where he must fight his own ideas in his own mind in an effort to reach the end of a finished manuscript. Now, this is a horror game, and I know it can seem kind of weird to depict writing, something that people say they enjoy, as this horrific, horrible thing, but that's not a new idea, and that can be seen even in game development. In Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which, that title in itself is kind of telling, he has interviewed devs who describe previous projects as grueling and talk about being burnt out. So it's not like creating in any field is just a walk in the park. And I think that a lot of the concepts expressed in this game can be applied to gaming and all art forms in general. Shell, in their Book of Lenses, even mentions how, even though the book is specifically about game development, there are designers of all kinds of entertainment. Books like Wake, movies, plays, music, even rides.
I can do this. Yes. The visions I'm seeing from the world beyond this nightmare from home, they sink down to the bottom of this ocean. I catch them. Visions, echoes, big fish. Some are actual events. Some are forgotten ideas. No, it's good. No, it will work. They're my inspiration, elements for my story to make it more true, even the parts that are true. I must change reality to escape. The writing has to be just right, or else it'll all just wash away.
The main villain, which was called the Dark Presence in the first game and Scratch in this one, which is a red herring I will talk about in the next section, is the embodiment of ideas that should be scratched out or left out of the cutting room floor, or that a creative should shove aside in later drafts, right? And Scratch is portrayed in a pretty classical Satan analogy, where it is both the ruler of the dark place, where it can control the dark place, manipulate it, and it is its domain, but it is also prisoner, which Alan must make sure that it doesn't come out. A great example of this that I think proves the point is that at one point in the story, Alan gets out before the manuscript is finished, gets out of the dark place, and Scratch also gets out, which I think shows that if you don't finish something properly, a version of it will come out with things that are not good, things that should have been iterated upon, should have been done better, should have been scratched out, right? And it's also the purest enemy of creativity. It is destruction. In both the first game and the second game, it's shown as a vortex of destruction that destroys everything in its vicinity. It shows the easy way out. It shows how it's so much easier to destroy than it is to create. It is all your worst impulses. It is the id, if you will. It is Scratch.
The dark presence is out there. It's hunting me. Its spies are always watching. It's trying to catch me. I think it did more than once. It's stealing from me. Stealing my identity. It wants to be me. Replace me. Twisted version of me. Scratch. Mr. Scratch. It's slithering into the story. Once it's in the story, I have to use it to keep the story true. It got in. I have to make the story darker now.
In the first game and its spin-off, there was a character named Mr. Scratch. He was a collection of all of Alan's worst tendencies and visually identical to him. He was a violent, drug-addicted, partying, and promiscuous man. Basically, all of Alan Wake's tendencies turned up to 11. He was someone who never created and only destroyed. The dark presence being referred to as Scratch was the red herring that I mentioned earlier, as he now goes by a different name, Thomas Sane. There's this very important moment towards the end of the game where Alan gets a call from his future self, and he asks his future self whether or not he will ever get out of the dark place. And the response he receives is,
yes, you will. And no, you won't. And that is by your own choice.
That last part is about how all the rules of the dark place are self-imposed by Alan's own creative sensibilities. But that first part is what I want to focus on, because it's about how a part of a creator is always encapsulated inside of a piece of art outside of time. I believe that this version of Mr. Scratch, Thomas Sane, which is repurposed by the manuscript that Alan is writing, more specifically represents the shame an artist can feel for those past works. That piece of the artist that was tainted by Scratch that is trapped in those artworks. To put it simply, it represents the artist feeling trapped by their past work. And I believe that his convoluted retcon of an origin is purposeful, to be ironic that someone who represents being trapped by your past work is a clear and almost obtuse retcon into existence.
Time is broken here. Maybe time never worked the way we think it does. It loops around. And yet it goes forward. A spiral.
At the end of the game, it's revealed that all the effort that Wake has gone through has been just for one draft, not an entire finished novel manuscript. Everyone's been stuck in a time loop, including everyone in Bright Falls. The very last thing Alan says in the game is,
It's not a loop. It's a spiral.
Meaning with each draft, each loop in the spiral, you get closer and closer to perfection. But true perfection is not actually possible. Like a mathematical limit, you can get closer and closer to infinity, but never truly actually reach it. So when the New Game Plus is called the Final Draft, that's not a perfect version of the game's events. That is just a version that Wake is satisfied with, and presumably will be remembered by the characters in later points in the timeline. I believe this cements Alan Wake 2 specifically in the grander Alan Wake story as being about the iterative part of the creative process. The process of going through draft after draft after draft, and what toll that takes on the creative's mind. Fullerton's game design workshop also highlights how iteration is crucial in game development too, and maybe even more important as game studios have whole QA departments focused on constantly iterating video games. Now, in truth, I've barely touched on the story of this game, didn't even mention the other half of it with Saga, but I hope that this little window into this game's amazing story and amazing ideas will hopefully convince someone else to dive deeper and maybe even play the game for themselves.